Hey folks, I'm Dave from MyGunValues.com, and on this episode we're going to continue our series on the SKS and how to identify it and the various features. You know, we've done a little bit of the history, we've done a quick teardown on it so you can field strip it and clean it. This episode, the first thing we're going to do is discuss what we had to do to make this gun findable on the MyGunValues.com website. One of the challenges you have is making it so people can find the data. I mean, if the data is there and people can't find it, then it doesn't do you a whole lot of good. So, problem you have with the SKS is they were built in 8 different countries at no less than 15 different arsenals. And there may very well be more arsenals than that, but no less than 15. The problem is nothing was ever labeled SKS. So in the English language, SKS has become the common usage. And there is another gun we've done the same thing with. It's the Luger. There was never a factory called Luger, but the gun in common usage became known by its design rather than by the people who made it. This is another example of the gun became known by its design rather than who made it. So when searching our website, for our manufacturer, you're actually going to pull up SKS. That's what it's under. Okay, we don't have a page for the Tula Arsenal in Russia or Arsenal 26 in China or any of the other arsenals that made this stuff. Because again, this site's primarily for the North American market, because that's where firearms, for the most part, can be legally owned and where we have some idea of valuation. So that's what we did, is we identify these as SKS. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to shut the camera down here, and I'm going to take you out, and we're going to run through on the computer screen how to find, how to log in, how to find everything on the website, and we'll go through these one at a time for the identification purposes. And then that should give you an idea of what you're looking for. And at that point, we've got a bunch of still photos we've either taken or found that are public domain, and we're going to go through and show you the proper way to identify each type of gun. So on that note, I'm going to shut you down and I'll reset up, and I'll be back with you in a few minutes. Thank you. Okay, folks, I'm back. I've got, this is our home page, if you've never seen it before, on our website. And just real quick, we got the home, our blog. My Gun Vault gives you the ability to store your information securely off-site if you're a paid member. You can store it that way. If you ever have a fire or a theft, you have your records of what model and what serial number you had. Firearm search, you can search for FFLs. Custom appraisals, you can send us a request as a paid member. You get 1 free custom appraisal per year as a paid member. Any more than that, and it's going to be $10 a piece. We just haven't got that far yet. Obviously, contact us. So I'll give you a little teaser here. We are in the middle of a complete rewrite of this front end page, and we'll be able to link directly to our YouTube videos and our blogs and our articles on various firearms So for instance, eventually this SKS series will be available. If you click on SKS, you can actually watch the video right from there. So anyway, on the home page, okay, what you're going to do, obviously the SKS is a rifle. You're going to click on rifle. Okay, you're going to choose a manufacturer. Remember I told you, SKS is how they're found. You can see it come up right there. You click on that. There's only one action type for the SKS, obviously. It's semi-automatic. Now we put this feature here, click here to skip this step in. There's some old firearms where it's not necessarily clear, or you might have somebody who doesn't know a lot about guns, that doesn't know what action they have. So you can skip this step, but if you click on this, it helps most manufacturers. Now, when you bring this up, it'll bring up, I think we've got it set, it'll bring up 25 various models. Now, if there, or maybe it's 30. You can see here there's 27 matches. So there's 27 different SKSs in our system. So, and here's where they're all the same, unfortunately, except for here where it says notes for the most part. So you're going to spend a lot of time reading these notes if you don't know what you have. So at this point, we're going to start with Albania. This is probably the easiest one to tell. It looks exactly like the SKSs, other SKSs, but your bolt handle is a hook similar to, say, an AK-47 than it is that round knob you've seen on my Chinese-made one. The Albanian SKS is the only one made in the factory to have this hook-style bolt handle. That's what you grab to pull the action back to cock it. The last two digits of the serial number, by the way, tell you what year that particular model was manufactured. So that's how you tell an Albanian SKS from any other. Again, what we're going to do in here is we're looking for the definitive characteristics of each SKS so you can tell. Now, Chinese. There are a ton of Chinese. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on each type. There is a triangle on the side of the action that has the markings to tell you which arsenal it was manufactured at. Most of the Chinese SKSs are very similar in value. The only one that'll bring a little bit of a premium is you have the military type, and it has the blade bayonet attached. Any SKS imported after 1989, unless it's a recognized military model, is not supposed to have a bayonet attached to it. So if it was built for the American market, there's no bayonet attached like mine. Mine was purchased in '93, remember. Okay, so you have, and the Model D is kind of the oddball. And this is the one the gentleman and I went back and forth on for quite some time, and it actually took me, it probably took me 2 weeks after I'd talked to him to really come up with a definitive answer as to what the Model D was. And basically, it was just a different derivative that two different importers brought in at two different times. Should have the round cruciform bayonet, not the blade. And this thing wasn't imported very long. There's not a lot of Model Ds out there, and it has this 20.5-inch barrel instead of any other barrel length, which kind of makes it an oddball also. But again, you're looking for that triangle on the side by the serial number, and it will have the various identifications of which arsenal built it in the triangle. So now there are several models that have a triangle, so you got to pay. That's why we're giving you these pictures. So the other thing we're going to do, let's see here. Okay, East Germany. East Germany, There's two ways to tell. We could not find a picture anywhere of this. So if you look at the stock, you'll have a rectangular hole in the stock for the sling. Doesn't have a true sling swivel or a sling attachment. Should have a folding blade bayonet, and you've got that rectangular sling hole in the buttstock that we're picturing here. Now, there's also, according to the references I've got, there's a sunburst on the bolt cover with the letters MTNV, that's Mary Tango November Victor, and a semicircle around the top of the sunburst. I looked and looked and looked and looked and looked and could not find that picture. Now, let you know a little secret behind the scenes. I shoot the videos, but one of our other partners actually edits them. So if he can find one of these, he may insert it here. So that's how you identify the East German model. Not a lot of them around, but not uncommon either. Now this is the oddball, the North Korea. North Korea we've never had diplomatic relations with. They're, you know, you hear the news today, you know what they are. Most of the people I have seen, and I see a typo right here. I'll go in and correct that after we shoot this video, but the North Korean models are thought to be exclusively bringbacks from Vietnam. North Korea didn't manufacture their own arms during the Korean War, so they're almost all that are in this country are thought to have been brought back from Vietnam. The biggest item is you've got a 5-pointed star with a circle on it, and that's what we've got pictured here for you. If there's a number inside the circle, it's Vietnamese, it's not North Korean. Also, the North Korean marking is on top of the receiver cover, and the Vietnamese marking is over by the serial number, so that's another way to tell. Getting down to North Vietnam, North Vietnam has the same star or circle with a star inside it, but it has a number inside that star. I've heard various things, what people think. Another typo. I have to correct these. 5-pointed star inside circle with a number. Should have the folding blade bayonet. Be careful with these. The North Vietnam and North Korean models do bring a premium, but they can be faked. So just be careful that you don't see these markings along with a Chinese or a Russian marking. And we'll get to those in a minute. Okay, here we go. This is the hard one. The Romanian Type 56 is the only one thought to have been legally imported into the U.S. that will have a bayonet attached to it. The only marking is it's got a triangle with an arrow pointing up with the folding blade bayonet attached to it. That's the only marking. Nothing on it says Romania, nothing else. And these were actually imported under the collector's curio and relic. I knew I'd think of it eventually. The curio and relic, because these qualified when they were imported. So that's how they made it into the country. But again, that's the only thing you've got. Now you'll see here these next are kind of a catch-all category. SKS paratroop, Chinese, Russian, and Yugoslavian. A lot of these were imported and altered, synthetic stocks put on them, things of that nature. This is our catch-all category for the standard SKS like mine. The one I've been using would be here under Chinese paratroop SKS. And I apologize because we did one for thumbhole stock and one for a plain stock. That's the only difference we did with those. There's so many different ways those can be altered or changed. We just pretty much, none of it really changes their value too much. So that's why they're in this category. So we go on down here. You have the USSR. Oh, wait a minute. Let me back up to North Vietnam here for a minute. North Vietnam, a lot of their SKSs will have synthetic stocks. I've got some friends that are Vietnam vets, and what they found is they would bring this stuff down the Ho Chi Minh Trail and stash it in underground caches here, there, and everywhere, so it was there when they needed it. And this is the North Vietnamese and the Viet Cong. What would happen is the wood would rot. It might sit there for 2 or 3 years, and when they dug them up, the wood had rotted away and been eaten by bugs and beetles and worms and everything else. So a lot of North Vietnamese SKSs are fitted with synthetic fiberglass stocks. Not all, but a lot of them. Okay, USSR. You have 2 arsenals. These are the first SKSs built. Both have folding blade bayonets. They basically, the Tula guns, which are much more common, will have a fletched arrow inside a triangle. Do not confuse that with the regular arrow inside a triangle of a Yugoslavian. It's the fletching on the arrow that makes the difference. The Tula arsenal will have the, and I said this wrong, the Ishvek arsenal is the one with the fletched arrow inside a triangle. I can't even read my own website. Okay, coming down here to the Ishvek arsenal, you have a fletched arrow inside a triangle. Do not confuse this with the earlier who was it? With the Romanian arrow, because this isn't fletched, this is just an arrow pointing up. That's the difference. So there, you got to really pay attention. That's why we're giving you these pictures. The Tula arsenal will have a fletched arrow pointing up inside a 5-pointed star. Tula is much more common. You see them much more often. So, and they both will have Cyrillic lettering on them that makes no sense to the English language. But they'll also have the Cyrillic writing on them. Okay, you have 4 Yugoslavian types. We weren't able to get pictures of all 4. Basically, the 1959 model is very difficult to tell because there's nothing on there that identifies it as Yugoslavian. You almost have to have import paperwork on it to identify it as a Yugoslavian-built SKS. Now, the 59/66 has a built-in grenade launcher attached to the barrel. That one is the only one to come so equipped, and this is where it gets really funny. Because this was imported as a curio and relic, if you remove the grenade launcher, you're actually making the firearm illegal by federal law. But if you add the grenade launcher to any of the other SKSs that didn't come with it, you're violating federal law. So just kind of one of those, you've got to keep it at original to keep it legal. The A1 model, the only difference between the A1 and the regular model is the addition of tritium night sights. If you have night sights, when in doubt, take it into a closet and turn off the light. If they glow, they're night. If you can see them, they're night sights. Okay, and then the sniper rifle, we could not find a picture of one where they still had the original 89B scope mounted on the left side of the receiver. Any other scope it's not original, it's been altered. And again, the way this was imported, technically that scope is supposed to stay with it because it's curio and relic, but I've never heard of anybody, getting in trouble over that. But those are how you tell your SKS is just a short little identification video with our various pictures. And that way, hopefully you can identify them and you can tell what, what they're worth a little bit better. And then you can find them on our website a little bit better. So that concludes our SKS series. I hope you learned something. I thank you for watching. And again, if you have anything you want to see, a subject you want us to cover, a video you'd like to see, or you have questions, you can leave a comment here on YouTube, subscribe to our channel, or you can log right on here. You don't even have to be a member. Send us contact us, and one of us, depending on what your question is, will get back to you and answer any valuation questions or computer questions you might have. And while I'm on the subject of computers, just real quick, just in case it should ever happen, you send us something. We are a small business, and sometimes it does take us a couple days to get back to you. Please, whatever you do, do not leave us questions over here on the blog. If you leave us questions there, we just had a situation prop up where this happened. Somebody left us a question and none of us saw it for about 3.5 weeks. It's just one of those, if you get enough blog comments and you're in a certain area or you're not in the right area, then it escapes our notice and we don't see it. So if you have questions, by all means, please send us, please contact us here. As far as pricing goes, you need to be a paid member. Send us, you can join for, I believe it's $9.99 for 3 months. Send us your appraisal request and we'll get back to you, if you can't find on the website. Now, if it's in here, then I'm going to send it back to you with the clicks and the how do you find it, but I won't answer, what it's worth. You have to go in and find it yourself. And I'm the one who does most of the custom appraisals, although not all. So if you have a question, send it and I will answer your questions as best I can. We thank you for watching and we thank you for your support. Have a good day.